The Eight Immortals Travel East, Chapter 6.
Imagine achieving like the ultimate spiritual breakthrough,
Yeah.
You've spent your entire life meditating, seeking, just stripping away all your worldly attachments, and finally you cross the threshold.
You basically win the cosmic lottery.
Exactly. You're granted an audience with the architects of the universe, you learn the hidden mechanics of reality, and you attain this state of perfect, crystalline enlightenment.
It's the peak.
It is. But then you come back home from this incredible journey and you discover that while you were out exploring the heavens, your friends accidentally burned your physical body to ashes.
Yeah, that completely upends the traditional hero's journey.
Right.
Because we are so conditioned to expect that spiritual perfection will be mirrored by, physical perfection.
Right, you get the glowing aura and the perfect health.
Exactly. You endure the trials, you receive the wisdom, and you return whole, radiant, and untouchable.
You get the metaphorical shining armor. But it's a source text today that completely shatters that clean, comforting narrative.
It really does.
Because the tech transformational landscape that is chaotic, deeply vulnerable, and honestly permanent in its consequences.
Yeah, it's a wild ride.
From Chapter 6 of the classic Chinese mythological text Journey to the East, or Dong Yuji.
And a specific passage we're examining goes by this rather stark title, which is Tieguai entrusts his soul to a starved corpse.
Wow.
Right. It's a title that immediately signals we are not dealing with a pristine, sanitized fairy tale here.
Not at all.
This is a story about the gritty, really uncomfortable mechanics of survival.
And it serves as the origin story for one of the most iconic figures in Chinese mythology. But getting to that legendary status involves like a catastrophic mistake.
A broken pact.
Yeah, and a profound crisis of identity.
Yeah.
So to understand how we get there, we have to start at the absolute peak of this character's existence.
Okay, set the stage.
So the text introduces us to a character simply referred to as the Master. He's at Mount Hua, and he is preparing for this unfathomable journey.
And it's not a normal trip.
No. His spirit is going to literally leave his physical body behind to travel the cosmos, alongside Lao Jun, who is, the legendary founder of Taoism.
We really have to unpack the mechanics of what the text is actually describing here.
Yeah.
Because this isn't, it's not a dream state or just a simple meditation.
Right.
In Taoist alchemy, there's this concept of cultivating the spirit to the point where it can exist independently of the physical form.
So the body is essentially like a biological spacesuit.
That's a perfect way to put it. The Master has refined his consciousness so intensely that he can just unzip the suit, step out of it, and travel the universe as pure, aware energy.
It's astral projection, but on a massive mythological scale. So he leaves his physical body, which is now entirely vacant and super vulnerable, in his thatched hut at Mount Hua, and he entrusts the disciple to guard it while he's gone. Then, unburdened by physics or biology, his spirit follows Lao Jun into the deepest hidden layers of reality.
And the places they go are incredible. The text explicitly mentions they visit the Zhuqian countries, Panglai, Fangzhang, and they tour the 36 cave heavens.
Okay, those locations, they are significant, right?
Oh, absolutely. They aren't just points on a map. They are the absolute pinnacles of Taoist cosmology. Like Panglai and Fangzhang are the legendary mist-shrouded islands of the Eastern Sea, inhabited by immortals.
Wow.
And the 36 cave heavens, this is just a fascinating concept. In this tradition, a mountain isn't just rock and dirt.
Right.
Deep within certain sacred mountains are these hidden dimensions, entire boundless paradises, like skies, suns, and vast landscapes, all folded inside a confined space.
I am really trying to wrap my head around that. It's like a pocket dimension where the rules of space and time are fundamentally rewritten. So the Master is inside these hidden realities. He's absorbing the Tao, the fundamental underlying operating code of the universe.
Yeah.
He is side by side with Lao Jun, quite literally soaking in ultimate wisdom. I mean, from a spiritual perspective, he is gorging himself on enlightenment.
He's experiencing the absolute zenith of what a consciousness can achieve, but the contrast is what makes the subsequent events so compelling.
Oh, for sure.
Because the spirit, no matter how elevated, eventually feels a tether to its origin.
Oh.
After absorbing all this immense cosmic knowledge, the Master decides it is time to conclude the journey.
Right. He feels the pull of Mount Hua. He needs to return to his physical body.
Yeah.
So he approaches Lao Jun to say his goodbyes. Now, if I am the master, and I've just spent all this time learning from the ultimate sage, I expect a profound parting blessing.
Something that matches the majesty of the 36 cave heavens.
Exactly. But Lao Jun's response is strange. He doesn't say goodbye. He doesn't offer a blessing for a safe journey. The text notes a very specific physical reaction. Lao Jun smiles.
That smile is perhaps the most important detail in the entire first half of the text. It acts as a major pivot point.
It feels almost dismissive, or at least incredibly cryptic.
Yeah, definitely cryptic.
Because instead of direct answer, Lao Jun recites a prophetic verse. The translation reads, let me get it here. Abstaining from grains, but not wheat. The carriage is light and the road familiar. Desiring the old physical form, you will meet a new face.
Okay, let's unpack this, because Lao Jun is utilizing a very specific method of communication here.
Yeah, please do.
The first line, abstaining from grains but not wheat, touches on the Taoist practice of bigu, which is avoiding common grains to purify the body, yet there is this earthly exception made for wheat.
Right.
Then the carriage is light and the road familiar references his current state as a free-floating spirit, easily traveling the path back to his body.
Okay, but it's that last line that carries all the weight, right? Desiring the old physical form, you will meet a new face.
Yeah, that's the kicker.
I mean, if I hear that from an all-knowing entity, my immediate thought is that something terrible has happened at home. It's like getting a frustratingly vague fortune cookie right before a major life event.
Exactly.
So my question is, why construct a riddle? If Lao Yun is an enlightened mentor, and he knows disaster is waiting at Mount Hua, why not just tell the master plainly?
Right, like why not warn him?
Yeah, why not say, hey, your disciple has abandoned his post, your body is in danger, you need to hurry. Why do enlightened mentors always speak in riddles?
This raises an important question about how we view mentorship, because that assumes the goal of an enlightened master is to prevent hardship, which is a very modern Western way of viewing it.
Oh, interesting.
In the framework of this text, destiny, the natural unfolding of the Tao, isn't something a sage tries to outsmart or circumvent.
Okay, I see.
If Lao Jun says your body is in danger, he incites panic. He triggers the master to rush back and attempt to aggressively force an outcome, fighting against the current of reality.
So you're saying Lao Yun knows the body is already gone, or is destined to be gone, and trying to save it would actually be a disruption of the master's true path.
Precisely. The smile is an acknowledgement of the design. What is about to happen isn't a tragic accident that Lao Yun failed to prevent.
It's a necessary transformation.
Exactly. It is a brutal but necessary threshold the master must cross. Lao Yun isn't speaking in riddles to be elusive. He's practicing economy of action.
Wow.
By giving the verse, he is planting a conceptual mechanism in the master's mind. He's basically pre-installing the software the master will need to survive the impending crisis.
Oh, that's brilliant.
He introduces the concept of the new face, so that when the old form is gone, the master has an alternative to total despair.
That makes Lao Jun less of a protector and more of a catalyst.
Definitely.
So the master takes this cryptic verse, perhaps not fully understanding it yet, and his spirit travels back to the human realm. And the text emphasizes that he arrives at Mount Hua exactly on the 7th day.
Right, he honored his timeline.
He approaches his thatched hut, anticipating that moment of stepping back into his biological spacesuit, just ready to wake up as a profoundly enlightened human.
The expectation is seamless continuity. He intends to take all that boundless cosmic insight and funnel it right back into his familiar, comfortable existence.
But the continuity is shattered. He searches the hut and his body is nowhere to be found.
Gone.
His hair is gone, and the disciple he trusted to guard his vulnerable shell is missing. The physical evidence of his entire existence has simply vanished.
It is absolute erasure. The anchor point for his identity in the physical world has been severed, and completely without his consent.
And the way the text conveys this realization is just chilling. It doesn't just say the body was destroyed. The master turns to the area where the firewood was normally kept.
Right.
And the text says he finds only warm air and quiet smoke.
The sensory precision of that description carries immense emotional weight.
It really does. Warm air. It means he was agonizingly close. It implies a narrow window of time, perhaps just hours or minutes.
Yeah, he just missed it.
If the air is still warm, the fire just died down. He realizes in a fraction of a second that his body wasn't hidden or stolen, it was subjected to the finality of cremation.
And that pact he made with his disciple wasn't just broken, it was violently irreversible. You can't unburn ash.
Exactly. Which forces a confrontation with permanence. In mythology, we often see magical resurrections or, like, the reassembling of limbs.
But cremation leaves no raw material. The vessel is irrevocably gone.
Which brings us to the master's reaction. And this is where I find the story taking a sharp, brilliant turn. Because we just established that this man has been touring the cave heavens.
Right.
He's absorbed the Tao. He should be the epitome of detachment and universal peace. But when he sees that quiet smoke, his reaction is aggressively human.
Very human.
He doesn't sit in the ashes and calmly accept the transient nature of existence.
Far from it.
The text says he deeply resents his disciple. He is furious about the broken pact. And he becomes a wandering soul, drifting into the void, wailing day and night because he suddenly has nowhere to rely on. It's a total emotional collapse.
Yeah.
How do we reconcile this supreme cosmic knowledge with what is essentially a spiritual tantrum?
Well, by understanding that cosmic knowledge doesn't automatically sever the ego's attachment to the self, the text introduces a crucial term here, his original old quality, or his binyuan jiuzi.
Okay.
This refers to his previous physical form, but also to his entire sense of identity, vanity, and history bound up in that specific face and body.
It's the him he has always known.
Yes. When he was traveling with Lao Jun, he felt safe because he believed his original old quality was waiting for him. He had a safety net.
And the moment he sees the smoke, that net is vaporized.
Exactly. We're witnessing the terrifying vulnerability of a consciousness that suddenly realizes it is homeless. The wailing in the void isn't just sadness. It is the sound of an ego undergoing a violent, involuntary death.
Wow.
Despite all his high-level Taoist philosophy, he is still fundamentally terrified of dissolving into nothingness. He wants his specific, comfortable life back.
I mean, it's easy to be detached from worldly things when you know you have a warm bed to return to. The reality of true detachment is terrifying.
Absolutely.
So he is frantic. He is a hyper-aware, enlightened ghost screaming into the emptiness, desperate for an anchor. And it is this sheer, unadulterated desperation that drives the narrative forward.
Because as his wandering soul searches the mountainside, looking for any possible physical form to inhabit, he stumbles upon a corpse lying in the dirt.
And the text is incredibly deliberate about the nature of this corpse.
Yes, it is.
This isn't a sleeping prince or a recently fallen warrior. The text specifies it is a starved corpse.
And that detail is vital to the mechanics of the story. A starved corpse implies a slow, agonizing death of deprivation. It represents someone who is abandoned by the world, discarded on the side of a mountain, completely devoid of dignity or sustenance.
It is the absolute lowest tier of physical existence. It is a broken, discarded shell. And as the master's wailing spirit hovers over this tragic vessel, the mechanism Lao Jun planted finally activates. The text tells us the master suddenly remembers the prophecy, desiring the old physical form, you will meet a new face.
The tumblers in the lock finally click into place.
He looks at this grotesque, emaciated body, and the realization hits him. This starved corpse is my face. This is the destiny Lao Jun was smiling about.
Yeah.
And his entire psychological state pivots on a dime. The text describes a massive shift in his internal monologue. He goes from bitter resentment, screaming about his disciples' betrayal, to a stark, pragmatic realization.
Right.
He thinks, why blame others? The soul has nowhere to rest, no time to be picky about a body. So what does this all mean? How do we interpret this sudden change?
What's fascinating here is the internal pivot from wailing victim to pragmatic actor. That is a true moment of enlightenment in this story.
Really? Not the cave heavens.
No, it isn't the tours of the cave heavens that perfect him. It is this specific realization.
I want to dig into that pivot. Because saying no time to be picky about a body almost sounds like a dark joke. It's a profound lowering of standards for an immortal. How does he justify making that leap?
Well, by recognizing the nature of the void. When he was wailing, he was consumed by what he had lost, the injustice of it. But standing over the corpse, he is faced with a binary choice.
Okay.
Option A is to continue clinging to the memory of his ashes, refusing to accept reality until his spirit inevitably dissipates into the void. Total cessation of existence.
And option B?
Option B is to radically accept the flawed, grotesque reality that is available to him right now.
So he chooses a painful, ugly existence over non-existence.
Exactly. He reclaims his agency. By saying, why blame others, he is cutting the tether of victimhood. The disciple's betrayal no longer matters.
The loss of his original form no longer matters.
Right. The only thing that matters is the present mechanism of survival. He accepts that the physical body is truly just a tool, and a broken tool is infinitely better than no tool at all. He accepts the new face.
And with that radical acceptance, the master makes his move. He gathers his wandering soul and he thrusts it into the starved corpse. He possesses the discarded shell. And the body rises.
But the text doesn't offer a magical cleansing process here.
No, it forces us to look at the harsh reality of his new existence. It provides a highly specific, vivid description of what the master now looks like.
The aesthetic of the immortal is entirely inverted.
Exactly. He stands up and he has unkempt wild hair. His face is smeared with the grime and dirt of a desperate death. His belly protrudes in the distended manner of the starving.
Yeah, it's visceral.
And most significantly, the body is crippled. He has a lame foot. The supreme consciousness that just toured the heavens alongside Lauin cannot even walk upright. He has to lean heavily on a bamboo crutch just to drag himself forward.
It's a profound juxtaposition. You have a being composed of pure, elevated cosmic energy trapped inside the physical manifestation of ultimate human suffering.
But the master is still the master. The text makes it clear that while his hardware is severely downgraded, his software is fully intact.
Right, he retains all his abilities.
He retains all the magical abilities and Taoist knowledge he acquired. He can still abstain from grains using magic, and he can manipulate matter. He possesses the power to alter reality.
Which presents him with a temptation.
Right. If you have the power to alter reality and you are trapped in a dirty, starving, crippled body, your first instinct would be to cast a spell to fix it.
Naturally.
You would try to smooth the skin, heal the lame foot, maybe manipulate the features to at least vaguely resemble your original old quality.
He could have attempted to use his alchemy to mask his suffering.
But he doesn't. And here's where it gets really interesting. He doesn't try to hide the limp or clean away the grime. Instead, the text describes a very specific, deliberate act of magic.
Yeah.
He takes a mouthful of water and he spits it directly onto the bamboo crutch he is leaning on. Through his Taoist alchemy, the water reacts with the wood, and the fragile bamboo instantly transmutates into solid iron.
The transmutation of the crutch is a definitive act of self-authorship.
It really feels like an anchor being dropped. Why turn the crutch to iron instead of healing the foot?
Well, think about it.
To me, it reads as a conscious refusal to live in the past. By forging that iron crutch, he is taking the symbol of his new limitation, his physical brokenness, and making it permanent, like a branding exercise.
Exactly.
He is making it indestructible. He is declaring to the universe, this is who I am now. I am not hiding the lame foot. I am building my foundation upon it.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that interpretation aligns perfectly with the philosophy of the text. The narrative explicitly pauses to deliver a crucial insight to the reader here.
What does it say?
It states that this lame, disheveled appearance, this form that society looks at with pity or disgust, is merely a possessed vessel.
Yeah.
It explicitly notes that this wretched exterior is not his true nature.
Right.
The core of his identity, his spiritual magnitude, remains completely untouched by the dirt and the limp.
So the ultimate substance of who he is hasn't degraded at all, even though the packaging is ruined.
Precisely. However, the text also acknowledges the reality of the human realm. Because he must walk the earth in this physical form, humanity can only interact with the vessel.
Right. They can't see the Taoist mastery.
No, they cannot see the cosmic energy. They only see the dirt and the limp. The text tells us that the people coming and going in the world didn't recognize his spiritual authority. They didn't even know his real name.
Wow.
They simply looked at his most prominent feature, the indestructible iron crutch, and they named him after it. They called him Master Iron Crutch, or Tieguai.
That Master Iron Crutch, that is the name he carries into eternity. That is the identity that becomes legendary in Chinese mythology.
And it's a legend built on a profound paradox.
How so?
Well, Tieguai becomes a symbol of immortality and power. He doesn't overcome his catastrophic loss by reversing it. He transcends it by completely integrating it into his being. Yet his image is forever inextricably bound to human frailty, marginalization, and physical limitation.